Hey guys, today I'm going to film my labor and delivery story. I'm so sorry that it has taken me so long to film this, but with being a new mom and the coronavirus, everything is so crazy. And I'm so sorry for everyone dealing with the coronavirus right now. Like, it's a really scary time to be a mom and a scary time to be pregnant. Like right now, I've just been bunkering in my house because I am so scared that my husband or I are gonna get sick and then she's gonna get sick. Or just, like I don't want anyone around. So, like, she saw her grandparents when she was born, and then after that, like, she has seen no one. So, my thoughts and prayers go out to all of y'all that are pregnant, trying to get pregnant, or just had babies, and everyone. Like, it's just a really scary time. So, I just wanted to address that. Anyways, though, so I had a planned C-section on February 21st, and I have to say it was the best decision that I ever made with my doctor. I do have a health problem with my bladder, so it isn't just like I wanted a planned C-section. It was more beneficial. By the way, she's over there hanging out in her swing, so I would show her, but she's calm, and when she's calm, like, you don't want to mess with a calm baby. But so I went in for my surgery, or I went to the hospital at 4 a.m. and I was there at 4:30, and then I was in a waiting room, and I was just trying to be calm. Like, my husband and I were just joking around, hanging out with all the other parents that are there for C-sections as well. Just seemed so casual. It was really bizarre, but like comforting at the same time. And then we got called back, and they started asking me all these questions. It took like 30 minutes of just questions. And then we're putting like my wristbands on, like that I was allergic to penicillin, everything that, and then they were like, okay, you need to put your gown on. And then that's when it got real. And I went into the bathroom, put my gown on. I came out, and they were like, we're going to put your IV in. And that was, everyone says that's the worst part. It wasn't fun. The girl missed, like, the vein like exploded, and it did hurt, but I was still more nervous about the surgery. So they had to redo my IV, and then they were like, okay, we're walking back, and everything was just happening so fast. Like, you really don't have time to think. So I like walked back alone, and I got in the room, and there's like 9 to 10 people in there, and everyone's just acting so casual. It's so bright. And they're like, here, sit on this bed. And then once I sat on the bed, they immediately were like, we're doing your epidural. And it was like, okay, like, I've seen so many videos of C-sections, so I was like, I kind of knew the process, so I wasn't like freaked out that much. So I bent over, and they stuck the epidural in my back. And the first time, like, the whole right side of my body, like, had this really weird feeling, and I was like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. Like, it just didn't feel right. So then they pulled it out, which they did the numbing local anesthesia, which hurt, but then you couldn't really feel the epidural, but you could feel like almost like if you were hitting like your your funny bone, but like where the epidural was going in. So it's like an uncomfortable feeling. That's exactly what it felt like. So they like pulled it out, and they put it back in, and then all of a sudden my whole body got really warm, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's what it's supposed to feel like. And then they just like laid me on the table, and I was like, okay. It just started feeling like my whole body was like falling asleep, like when your foot falls asleep if you sit on it. And again, watched so many of these videos, so I knew that that's what it was supposed to feel like. And then they just were like talking, and they put the curtain up, and they all were like, they started playing music, and they were just hanging out. And then I started shaking. Again, I knew from everyone else, so I knew that that was normal. So, and I mean, like, I was like this. And they thought it was cold. They were like, here's a blanket. And I was like, no, I don't want the blanket. So I like threw the blanket off, because I still had movement from my chest up. And so then what were they doing? I'm trying to remember. They were just prepping, and then they were like, here, do you feel this? And I was like, yes. And then the next time they touched me, they were like, do you feel this? And I was like, no, all the way down my body. And then they were like, okay, well, we're about to get started. And then my husband walked in, and then that's when I like kind of got a little bit emotional, but I was like, no, we're gonna do this. Like, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. So he comes in, and the first thing I noticed is it started smelling like burning flesh, which kind of grossed me out. I don't know what they did. I don't know if it was like a laser or what, but it just didn't smell that great. But I was like, just keep talking to me. So my husband and I just kept talking, and we were talking about casual things, like, and he was just like, do you feel anything? I felt nothing. Like, not even pressure. Like, a lot of people say, like, during a C-section, you feel pressure, you can feel them tugging on you. I felt nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. The anesthesiologist was incredible. I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel them touching me. I didn't feel any pain. Nothing. I knew nothing about what they were doing. I had no idea if they were I didn't even know if they were cutting me open. Like, if I didn't smell that smell, I would have never even known. So him and I are just talking, and I can tell he's so nervous. And about 5 minutes go by, and then the doctor's like, get your camera ready. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is really happening. And in your head, you know, it's like the biggest moment of your life. So you just get so emotional. So my husband handed the camera to a doctor, or the anesthesiologist, and he was like, I'm gonna film it for you. And so all of a sudden they like pulled the curtain down, and you just hear screaming, and they lifted her up, and I was just like, I started bawling. So did my husband. We were just like, oh my God. We just couldn't believe it. And she cried the whole time in the OR, but they brought her over to me like immediately, and they laid her on my chest, and I got to hold her the whole time that they sewed me back up, which took like 25 to 30 minutes. Like, it was so wonderful. The experience was incredible. I was in no pain. The fact that I got to hold her, like, I was completely coherent the whole time. Like, it was just such a beautiful moment. I just would never change that experience ever again. Like, it was better than I could have ever expected. I thought I was going to have a panic attack. I thought I was going to hyperventilate, like anything, and nothing happened. Like, I was very calm once I got in the OR, which I wasn't expecting. So I was so proud of myself. So yeah, once they were done sewing me up, they were like, okay, Dad and baby are going to go to the recovery room, and we're going to wheel you out. So they took her and him, and they went to the recovery room, and then they wheeled me into the recovery room. And then once I got there, they immediately took everything off of me, and we did skin to skin, and she started to breastfeed. So it was just all so fast. Like, it was just like boom, boom, boom. And so I'm like breastfeeding there, and then they were like, okay, once you can start moving your feet or anything, we're gonna wheel you into your actual postpartum room. And I was like, okay. So I'm just sitting there, and they were like, if you feel nauseous, anything, like, let us know. And I didn't feel anything. Like, I really felt great. Like, I didn't have any nausea, dizziness. I didn't feel like I was on medicine. I just felt like I couldn't move. Like, it really was a good experience, and I'm so thankful that none of it was traumatic for me until later. But that's just hospital stays. So like, I can finally start moving my feet, and so they're like, okay, we're gonna wheel you to your postpartum room. So I'm holding her, and they wheel us to the new room, and that room was the smallest room in the entire hospital, which is fine. It was a shoebox though. But anyways, the first day was wonderful. They kept an epidural drip in my back, so the entire day, like, if I ever started to feel any kind of pain, which I really didn't, I just pressed the button and the epidural drip would go through, and I had a catheter the entire time, which I loved because I didn't have to get up and pee. So I just sat there and held my baby like the entire day, because we had the C-section at 6:30. I don't know, like, we were at the hospital since 4:30 in the morning, so it was nice to just not have to do anything. And we had visitors. It was so great. It wasn't until the next day that everything got real. They just keep, doctors and nurses just keep coming in your room over and over and over and checking on you, and you're just exhausted. And all this stuff, like that was just really stressful for me. But the actual like pain level and everything was so manageable. The next day they did make me walk, and I will say the first time I stood up was really hard. But not hard like you can't do it. It's just obviously you've never stood up after surgery, like within 24 hours. So it's expected to be hard. And it was after they took my catheter out and they needed me to pee. Peeing was really hard too. It didn't hurt, I just couldn't feel my bladder. So you know, like you have to pee, but like I couldn't feel my bladder. So I was like sitting there, I was like panicking. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, should I lose feeling my bladder forever? Like all these things. So I waited a few hours and then I went again and I finally peed. Like I had to run water, everything. It was so, that was the scariest part for me, just because I do have a bladder problem. So I was like, am I ever going to pee again? You pee again, you start to feel your bladder. They still kept the epidural drip in my back. It was like a walking epidural drip, so I could walk around the entire hospital. Well, the room. I'm not walking around the hospital. And yeah, and then they put me on hydrocodone and Motrin. But the hydrocodone, I was like hallucinating, paranoid. They took me off of it, and then I was only on Motrin and Tylenol, and that's all I needed. I was fine. I was walking around, and I'm a big baby. So if you're terrified of the pain and stuff, if you have a good doctor, don't be scared. You're going to be fine. It's not as bad as you probably are going to build it up way more in your head than it's going to be. But yeah, and then my doctor cleared me 3 days later, and she said that I could do everything. Like she was like, you can walk around, you can carry your baby, you can go up and down stairs. Like you just don't work out and nothing going inside of you for 6 weeks. So I had a wonderful experience, and I just hope that this video, sorry I'm talking so fast, she just barely like naps. So I hope if you have a C-section, just that you'll watch this video and know, like, don't be scared. I know like that's like impossible to say, but just know that you're gonna be okay and that it's not really that bad. I just hope everyone has as good of an experience as I did. I wouldn't change it for the world. So anyways, guys, my next video will be way better than this. I just am rambling to get a video out. If y'all have any questions, please let me know and I will answer them. And I just hope y'all are all staying safe and that this coronavirus passes soon. Okay, all right, guys. Again, have a good day and a good week, and, you know, have a drink. All right, bye.